welcome to Tactics Test number 14 here in the Total Tactics Testing series. And this week we have a very powerful and very offensive tactic for you. In the past, we focused on the 4-1-0-3-2, which is a very powerful attacking kind of winger tactic. We also have done the 4-4-2 with the one winger pushed up on the side video, which was also pretty good. And today we're sort of splitting the difference. So rather than just a flat 4-4-2, we're going with the 4-2-4, and it has a little bit better of a base than the 4-1-0-3-2 that scored just loads of goals earlier on the channel. So I think this tactic is extremely strong. I think it has game and PvP, and it's something you should probably have in your arsenal, especially if you enjoy 4-4-2s. This is an excellent version of one, and I'm really proud of kind of what we put together here, especially so late in the cycle. I kind of wish I had found this tactic sooner, or at least spent the time tuning it. You know, like I've known that 4-2-4s exist and are successful, but I haven't really spent the time trying to build one this FM. And I spent a little bit of time last week on this running tests, and I'm pretty pleased with the results. So let's take a look at the tactic before looking at the highlights and results later. But before, again, we do that, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. There's a lot of videos coming up in the future, and as we push towards FM23 content, I would love to continue to push that subscriber number higher and higher so more and more people can find these videos as they continue. So hopefully you enjoy the tactic, and let's take a deeper look. All right, so this is the tactic, and it looks pretty simple. There's a couple things that I think are important to sort of explain about it, so let's go ahead and do that now. But double advance forward on attack, double winger on attack, the CM attack / box-to-box midfielder combo that I think is reasonably common, and then fullbacks on support alongside two central defenders on defense. So no ball-playing defenders in this tactic, which is one of the ways that you kind of prevent yourself from being too exposed on the counter. So if we take a look at some of the player instructions, you'll see this advance forward, just take more risks, shoot less often, move into channels. This advance forward is being told to stay wider. That is to create a little bit of space for the CM attack run to come through the middle as well and enter the play without being too much of an overload. And it's something that's been very effective in this tactic specifically. So that's something to think about, whether or not you do want to tell your strikers that are in the same channel as a CM attack or like as a shadow striker, maybe they should stay wider to sort of clear out room, and often will pull a defender with them when they do that. But that's something we've talked about on the channel before. Shoot less often, cross aim center on these wingers is something that is added to the winger attack, and that is something that we have on both sides, although on this side I want them taking fewer risks as well. So it kind of means that this side's a little bit more stable, but because this advance forward is going wide anyway and the CM attack is here, this being more aggressive helps create a nice tight passing triangle between these three players. But with the box-to-box and the advance forward that's not wider here, this winger would take fewer risks, makes more of a passing triangle with the fullback, the box-to-box midfielder, and the winger. So it does mean that maybe a lot of the play sort of flows through the right, or at least the finishing does. But this winger takes fewer risks, just kind of changes a little bit where the passing map tends to go. So the CM attacks take fewer risks, cross aim far post, shoot less often, move into channels. We have shoot less often, take fewer risks as well on the box-to-box midfielder, just to kind of like, we want them to move and we want them to take their chances. We just want them to, you know, be a little bit more selective. And that's a really common instruction on the channel here. Also, we have our fullbacks to sort of play like inverted wingbacks, which is something that I like offensively, but the fullbacks will maintain a little bit of better defensive width defensively in this tactic, whereas offensively they will kind of act almost like IWBs, right? We have them set to underlap, and we have the individual instruction to sit narrower. So it is and cut inside with the ball especially. So it is something that is a little bit interesting with those fullbacks. I encourage you to try it out in tactics where you are using IWBs, because it can be an alternative that also defends with better while still giving you some of the IWB interactions in the midfield. So that's something to kind of take advantage of here. Also higher and higher, not much higher. as maybe you're used to seeing. And it's not passed into space. Like, I do want to build up through these wingbacks. I do want to work the ball into the box and take advantage of those wingers getting those crosses in. So I don't want to waste the balls over the top or waste balls through the middle on pass into space when I want the play to go through the wingers. So that's something else to keep in mind as we look at this tactic. But let's take a look at the highlights and see some of the goal passages that we are seeing in this tactic. All right, from this highlight, we're going to watch Mattia Perin start the play with a goal kick. And this is just going to be your standard, like, 4-2-4 goal from the winger that hits into the middle of the field where it's kind of collected by the winger and then into the striker, and it's an easy goal. So it just feels like with this kind of tactic, we have to show at least one of those. So oddly enough, it's Osimhen drifting super far back to win this header. I think it's because the kick is a little bit short. Osimhen wins it to Muriel. He has a simple ball out wide to Lozano, and if you've been watching, Osimhen is just continuing to kind of push through the middle. Lozano finally finds even more space on the wing, crosses it into Osimhen, easy goal. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this kind of goal, but it just kind of shows you the power of, like, very quick transitions with this tactic, because Lozano was waiting to just pounce and run wide with that ball and get that cross in, and was very effective doing so. So it's just something to kind of, you know, keep an eye on when you're playing with this tactic, how devastating it can be when the ball goes out into the wide area and then is brought back into the middle with both of your strikers kind of running through, and that CM attack and that other winger. All four of them are in the box, with Fabian at the top of the box as the box-to-box midfielder looking to clean up any rebound as well. So just tons of scoring options and just a very impressive passage of play. All right, let's pick up this play in action from Ospina's long kick. And again, I think the goal here is to just show you how fast this tactic can build up to a goal. So Stuart Dallas takes a little bit of space here as that right fullback and then fires the ball up into space to Lozano. Now Lozano doesn't have the interior pass here because he had DiMarco marking him pretty well. He's got De Vrij in front of his marker and another random guy here, Bastoni, set to kind of block something. But if we do notice something you've seen probably a lot on this FM cycle, we have a fullback, D'Ambrosio, marking a striker in Osimhen. So instead he plays the ball, checks it up to the CM attack Tonali, who's making this run into the box. And again, we have Insigne, Osimhen, Muriel in the box, Fabian at the top. Like, this is the play design for the tactic. These are the kind of players that you want in the positions that you want in the box. Even Dallas is running infield like we ask him to do, to sit narrower as well, exactly where the fullback is supposed to be. But Tonali here has the chance to just loft a ball up to the back post. D'Ambrosio can't get it because he's a fullback, doesn't jump. Osimhen is there, heads it home, easy goal. But from the goal kick to the goal was just so fast, which is something that I love about this tactic, is that it can just really hit you really hard and really fast on the break. And it's just, I think, a really powerful tactic. And this is another good example of where the crosses and players are and what kind of passages of plays we get through the width. And another example, if we showed you how some of this play is going to come through that right side, because that's where the risk takers are. And that passing triangle that we talked about, you know, between Muriel, Tonali, and the right winger, Lozano, was tighter, right? Tonali was there to pass, whereas the other winger on the left side, Fabian, because he's a box-to-box, was much higher up the field. He's not really tight here, waiting to receive a ball from the winger if the play had been on that side. So it just kind of illustrates exactly what we were talking about too in terms of spacing. So this tactic, again, offers you those passing triangles, and they're in different spots on the pitches, and that's kind of by design as well. All right, one of the things that I think this highlight illustrates too is some of the perils of tight marking. And you'll see exactly what I mean when Zielinski ends up scoring this goal. So it starts actually with a long distribution, which is something I personally don't love to see in FM. But in this instance, I think it was used to break the high press by the AI here of Atletico Madrid, because you can see how many players here are forward, 5 players in between Bremer and like some of the offensive options that Bremer could pass to. So Bremer goes back to Osimhen here, and then Osimhen just hits it. Ospina just hits it long to Osimhen, right? Who's backing into his defender. And what I want you to look at is tight marking, tight marking, tight marking, and Zielinski as a CM attack has gotten a jump on Lorente. And just watch this play develop. Like, it's the kind of thing that if you saw this happen to you in FM, you would be so frustrated. He just makes this CM attack run. The center backs never react until it's too late, and then Zielinski finishes to the far post. And this is because that left-sided center back did not leave Muriel to force Zielinski into a decision. Like, if the center back leaves Muriel to push Zielinski wider, sure, Zielinski could pass it to Muriel, but Lorente following Zielinski there probably intercepts that pass and the play is like snuffed out. But because he didn't and held tight marking to his marker, there's just no chance. Zielinski goes in and he's no pressure, and he's able to finish it to the far post. It's a nice goal. It's a well-worked goal. It's a simple goal, but it also just kind of illustrates another thing we haven't really talked about that much on this end, but I do not like tight marking, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of take it out of almost every tactic that I play, and it's something that I think you should consider as well. All right, let's take a look at some results here from this tactic. And right there, one of the results that jumps off of you on the screen is that second place in the Elite League for Napoli, right behind Bayern with a goal difference that is steady, right there in the middle of the top four, which is something that's very impressive here in the Elite League. Also, the second place in the Balanced League with an incredible goal difference, first place in the Average League with a large goal difference in points total, and then again, the 92 points for Napoli in the Balanced League, which you can't see, but we'll get to those details here in a little bit. So let's take a look at the league table here in the Elite League, and 95 goals scored isn't quite 100, which is something that with a goal scoring tactic like this I would have loved to have seen, but it's still an impressively high total. We did allow 67, which kind of put it in the middle of the league in terms of defensively, but that's sort of to be expected. 68 points plus 28 goal difference, a nice strong finish to the season, including a win against Liverpool late on, which sort of keeps us there in that second place ahead on goal difference of Liverpool. So it's a strong result and a strong finish in the Elite League. The Balanced League, we do put up that 108 goals in the Balanced League is pretty incredible, and 45 here in this league had us with the third best defense, which makes a little bit more sense because there are some pushovers here in this division, but still 82 points is nothing to be ashamed of in the Balanced League, and the goal scoring and the goal differential is incredible. So Liverpool's a hard team to stop. Their 4-3-3 is very powerful in the match engine, and they do very well, so I'm never that upset if we don't finish ahead of Liverpool. And if you look at our losses here in this division, three of them are to Liverpool, right? So if you take away those, we just boss the rest of the division strongly. If we split those results with Liverpool a little bit better, then maybe we have a chance to win the title. And I'm okay with that. The Average Teams League, again, 111 goals scored, 45 against, so even one better defensively than the Balanced League, 80 points, plus 67 goal difference. Like, this is an excellent result. And the Average Teams League is something a lot of people have reported some struggles with because morale is so flat in this division, because all the teams do reasonably well for the most part. So there's not really a lot of easy games, but in this league, 80 points, only losing twice, and scoring a 67 goal difference is an excellent result, and something that I think really bodes well for this tactic, how well it performs in both the Balanced and the Average League. So if we then take a look at the Underdog League, even more goals have been scored, 118 in this division, allowing 32, which makes sense that this is the best defensive performance of the four leagues. 92 points, only losing twice. It's a good result. I've seen 100-point results before, and I think there's just some variance sometimes how many draws you get, whether or not you can crack 100 in the Underdogs League. Everything over 90 is very good, especially when you combine it with the like impressive nature of the other results with this tactic. Let's take a quick look at some of the stats here too, because I want to illustrate something. I looked for a highlight that involved one of those high fullbacks being the distributor. I just couldn't find one. A lot of the passages of play for this tactic involve those fullbacks laying off the ball to those wingers to really make them the focus here of the build-up. Sometimes that CM attack as well becomes the provider, and the stats bear that out. Like if you look at Muriel and Osimhen, right, are scoring almost all the goals. 55 goals between them is more than 50% of the goals for the team. They also are putting on 24 assists for each other combined. So they are assisting and scoring most of the goals. But where do the rest of the assists and goals come from, right? Lozano has 14 assists. He's the take more risks winger down this right side, which is something we've talked about, and also chipping in with 7 goals. The CM attack, Zielinski, had a fantastic season with 10 goals and 8 assists. And then Insigne, despite missing 6 games, also had 7 goals and 8 assists, right? So almost all of the offense is coming from those 5 players. Even Fabian, the box-to-box midfielder, only had 1 goal, 3 assists, plays a largely defensive role in this tactic. Di Lorenzo, that right back, only 3 assists. Mario Rui, only 4 assists, and that's a position we've seen have more assists in other tactics that we've played on the channel. And I think it's just really important to kind of notice that that's the point of these fullbacks on support and this center backs on defend, is that they do a good job staying back, playing balls into the correct areas for your offensive 6 or offensive 5 to get the job done. And they do get the job done in this tactic. Working from the outside in is something that can be very effective on Football Manager this year, and you're seeing that happen in this tactic. So I strongly encourage you to give this tactic a chance, especially if you already have the wide personnel to sort of make it work. Even in games where you need to score a lot of goals, it makes a lot of sense. And just in general, in PvP, it can be very powerful as well. So this is a tactic that I do highly recommend. It is available for download in the Discord as part of the Total Tactics, Tested Tactics YouTube channel as well. And there's a Dropbox link where all the tactics so far are also housed as well. So go ahead and become a member of that Discord server. The link is down in the description below. Make sure you subscribe to the videos for more Total Tactics testing series. There are going to be a couple special videos coming up in the upcoming weeks. We're going to have another one of the 5 change challenges, and then I have a couple other projects in work that are some nice collaborations that hopefully you'll get to see my take on a few different tactics as well, including potentially a video on a new strikerless system. So make sure you pay attention to those, and I will talk to you again in the future. See you next Thursday. Bye.